Okay, managed to pull it off again. Someday I will be a little smoother at this, but anyways, so we are now live on Facebook. So if anybody's joining us on Facebook, let me know when you're on. I have somebody joining me here in the Zoom, and yeah, so welcome. I'll just maybe wait a few minutes here to give people a chance. I know when I go Facebook Live, I always have to refresh the page so many times until I find it. I'm sure there's a simpler way somehow, but anyways, we'll go for this. So I don't know if anybody read my my newsletter this morning, my Facebook, Instagram post. I decided today we were going to talk about the vibration of our vocabulary. This was something I was completely and totally unaware of my whole life, pretty much, until I got more interested in energy. Oh, good. I see somebody's on Facebook. Yay. Until I got more interested in energy, I did not realize the importance of the words that I chose to create my life with. And I didn't actually even admit or understand that the words that I spoke created the life that I lived. And when I look back on my life and the periods of my life where it was not as nice as I wanted it to be, and I think about the conversations that I had with myself and with my friends and with family, I realized, oh my goodness, I made situations worse by the words I chose and by the way I talked to myself and by the way I talked to others or about others. So I'm much more conscientious now about how I do speak. I have chosen to be more curious than judgmental because I realize that when I am judgmental, that actually reverberates in my energy body. And so if we go with the concept that we are all one and that we're all connected through this universal energetic field, what we say about another person affects us. What we say about ourselves affects another person. So we've got this sort of infinity going on between ourselves and everybody else on this planet because we are all connected through energy. And you can feel that when you walk into a room. You know what the energy is like. It's either, oh yes, I am so excited to be here, or oh, somebody here has got really, really, really low energy. And so what I really like to do now is be super conscious about the energy that I bring into a room. And I also think about it in ways of how I present myself. So I know a lot of times people, once we get into our energy field and sort of start to understand that, we feel like we need to protect ourselves from others. But the actual opposite is true. The more you build up your energy body, the more you actually choose the vibration that you want to live in. So the vibration of your vocabulary. Oh, good. Cheryl says she found me. The vibration of your vocabulary, the vibration of your thoughts. It's amazing how that affects your energy. So if you are worried that other people's energy is going to affect you negatively, then that worry contributes to how they do. So what I've really discovered is that we can build up our energy it's like going to the gym. We build up our muscles. We also can build up our energy field so that when you meet other people, your energy force is out here instead of in here. I kind of think of it like when I was a kid. I was pretty shy as a kid. And so I sort of liken it a little bit back to that. It's like, just sort of, a little bit back here. Whereas now I'm standing in my power because I'm comfortable with who I am. Okay, it might have taken me decades, but I am. Anyways, so let's get back to vocabulary. There's this really interesting book that I'm going to introduce you guys to today. It's called Power versus Force, by David Hawkins. He has passed away, but he did this really interesting study on the energy level of words, vibrations in the universe, and he called it the map of consciousness. And it really makes a lot of sense to me, because especially now when you see so much stuff about bullying and how bullying affects some people to the degree that they actually take their life from it. And when I grew up, my parents, and probably some of yours, would teach us this little rhyme, or maybe I learned it in school: sticks and stones may break my bones. Okay, or ski accidents. But words will never hurt me. But right now, the opposite is quite true. We're finding that words are really hurting people. People are depressed by what other people say about them, or depressed by what they say about themselves. And so what's interesting in this book is that he has this map of consciousness, and I'll share a little bit of it with you, but it kind of looks like this. And so shame is at the very bottom of the map of consciousness in this book, Power versus Force. And it vibrates at a level of 20. The next level up is guilt. And that's also a horrible one. It vibrates only at a level of 30. Grief is 75, and that feeling of grief when you've lost somebody that you just absolutely loved in your life, and you feel like your whole life has plunged, your energy is gone, and you just sometimes just don't even know if you can pull yourself back up out of that grief. Fear is another interesting one, and a lot of people live in this area of fear, and that vibrates at a level of 100. Now, there was a sort of a global study that he did, and he said that most people hover around 2 to 250, and 200 is the level of courage, which is pretty good, because we need courage to live. Neutrality is 250. I don't really care for neutrality, because I have always taken a stand for things that I feel important. But I used to get really angry about what I feel was important. And I used to, be a person who would go and protest and be angry and, say, we need to change this, we need to change that. But now I take a stand for what I want instead of fighting against what I don't want. So you'll see, you've seen me post a lot lately this week, because a beautiful mountain on Vancouver Island, my favorite place, Fairy Mountain, is going to be clear cut logged, unless more of us take action. If I was there, I would certainly go sit there. But it's about awareness, and it's like any letters I write are now not condemning the decision, but they're like talking about what kind of world I want to leave for my children, my grandchildren in the future. What do we want as a world? And let's take a stand for that. So even what I'm doing now, I'm taking a stand for people learning how to build up their emotions, how to really become stronger, how to get out of what I was trapped in for a while, which was blame, shame, guilt, and take a stand for yourself. Get to that courage level, and then keep building, because we are not meant to be living a really crappy life here. We are souls in a soul playground, and some days it does not feel like that at all. But when you actually start connecting with other people who really feel into this, and you start taking a stand for the things that you want to see instead of fighting against the things that really piss you off, your energy shifts. And the best way that we can shift our energy is by shifting our vocabulary. So, I used to, and I still don't love them, affirmations. So take affirmations. So say I want to be um, thinner or something. So I say something like, I'm healthy and slim, and I look in the mirror and I'm neither one of those, you know, then my vibration doesn't match what I have just said. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, "Oh, I'm 15 pounds overweight, so that vibration doesn't match. So what we have to do is say things that match the truth that we feel within us and uplift us. So it's not to go back and say, oh, I'm 15 pounds overweight. It's like, oh, I'm actively working towards being a healthier, happier person. And so choosing our words is really important. So then going up this map of consciousness level, anger, I'm going to go back down actually and talk about a few other ones. Anger is 150. I spent a lot of my life, I'm going to say probably a good 10 or 15 years in the vibration of anger. I was either angry about, what was going on in the world in terms of the environment, or in terms of, the way people treated each other, the way my own personal life was going. I was hovering in anger. It was a horrible place to be in. I didn't like myself. I'm surprised I have any friends from that era, but thankfully I do. I must have gotten out of it. But and when we talk, when we get into these spin cycles, these conversations about what's not working in our life, it pulls our energy down, and we want to pull our energy up. So let's all start working together to having better conversations. So the conversations that I love to have now are, okay, so yeah, I don't care to live like this. I want to live like this. What can I say, do, and therefore be that raises my vibration up? Even if it's just a little smidgen each week or each month, rather than going back to all the negative stuff, take active steps to look at your vocabulary, look at the words you're choosing to say, look at the people that you're having conversations with, and just start to change those conversations. So pride is at 175, courage is at 200, willingness bumps us up over 300. 310. So willingness to consider what I'm saying and not to be triggered by it. I'm pretty sure I would have been triggered by this conversation when I was in my 30s. So think about what triggers you, and then go back to, oh, okay, I'm triggered because I'm actually hurt or I'm scared. Anger is never simply anger. It's because we're either hurt or we're scared. There's always an underlying reason for it. So, and then my favorite vibration is the vibration of love. Okay, I'm going to just tell you the cheesiest story ever. Like, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and in about 1972, Coca-Cola had a commercial. I don't know if anybody remembers this commercial, but it was, I'd like to buy the world a Coke. And it starts out with, I'd like to buy the world a house and furnish it with love. And then I'd like to buy the world a Coke. And then it was actually such a popular commercial. And it was done by this group of teenagers of all different cultures on a hilltop in Italy. And then they redid that commercial every year at Christmas. And all of them they were in the shape of a Christmas tree, and all of them had a candle. If I see those commercials now, and you can Google them on YouTube, they will still make me cry. I was about 10 when they came out, and it's really how I feel. It is like the cheesiest thing ever, but if I could, I would do that. I would buy everybody a house and furnish it with love, because love is my favorite vibration, because I know that everybody who does act out and has acted out towards me, or I have acted out towards others, it's because I didn't have enough love, or the person who acted out against me didn't have enough love. They didn't either know how to be loved, or or something happened in their childhood that prevented that. So how we love others is really important. And so the vocabulary, the language of our vocabulary, like the more, what this book, Power versus Force, also talks about is that for every person who can raise their level of energy up, they help uplift other people around them. And you felt this too, you know, when you're in a really good mood and you go into a room and the energy shifts, or somebody else comes in, you know, maybe the class clown or somebody who's just had something really wonderful, it brings that energy up. And that's what's possible with all of us. So what I really like is to live in a world where we are actively participating in raising the vibration, because we've got kids, we've got grandkids, and I don't want to contribute to a lower vibration world for them in the future. I want to say at the end of my life that I have contributed to making this place a safer, happier place that allows everybody the freedom to live a beautiful life. So think about your vocabulary. Think about the words that you're choosing. You know, you don't need to own this book, but it's quite an interesting book. What you just need to do is sort of think about, and here's something like, think about words that you love. So, you know, words that roll off your tongue, that are fun, that make you happy, that make you feel joyful, and see if you can add more words in. My dad had a big dictionary. In fact, my computer is sitting on it. It's like 4 inches thick. And when I was a kid, if I had to learn a new word, I had to go look it up in the dictionary and then come back and report to him on what that word meant. And so I've had a little bit of fun lately looking for words that aren't in use anymore. And there's this new book out that talks about how there's so many more negative words in circulation now than there are positive words. So it's kind of my little fun plan to figure out how we can add more fun words. So that's my chat about this. Now I'm going to clear some emotions for us all. I think one of the biggest areas where we lower our vibration with our vocabulary is how we talk to ourselves, because we're always worse on ourselves than we are on others. You know, we can quite often be super kind to other people, and then we'll come home and we'll beat ourselves up. So the first thing I'm going to clear for us is an emotion on the emotion code chart called self-abuse. And self-abuse can be the way we talk to ourselves, the way we sneer at ourselves in the mirror, the way we make ourselves feel less than somebody else who we really admire. So we're going to clear that one first, and then I've got a few others in that column that I think we'll work on too. So, because let's all be kind, starting with ourselves. So I'm going to connect to everybody that's here on the live and connect to everybody that's joining us in the future. Oh, I can use my right hand today. You can see I got my new splint on today, so I don't have to have my pink cast. I've got a black splint that I can take off. It's so exciting. I had water on this arm for the first time. Okay, so am I connected to everybody that's here live and everybody that's joining us in the future? Yeah. Okay, so I would like to clear the emotion self-abuse from everybody here today and everybody watching in the future. How many swipes do I need to clear this from the group? Is it 3? Is it 5? Is it 10? Yeah, it's 10. Okay, so we're going to clear from everybody here the trapped emotion of self-abuse. Okay, have we successfully cleared the trapped emotion self-abuse from everybody watching here today and everybody watching in the future? Okay, I'm also going to clear a trapped emotion that kept me in this place for a long time, and that's defensiveness. You know, we get defensive about our positions and it's hard to switch them. So I'd like to clear the trapped emotion defensiveness from everybody that's here today and everybody watching in the future. So we're going to clear defensiveness. Okay, have we successfully cleared defensiveness from everybody watching here today and everybody watching live in the future? Okay. And next, I think I'd like to clear stubbornness. Well, 10 swipes clear stubbornness. Stubbornness is another thing, we just sort of we're like, oh, this is just the way it is. And we just kind of get in this place where we're just too stubborn to change, even though our heart really wants us to, but the rest of us is going, so let's clear stubbornness from everybody watching here today and everybody in the future. Clearing stubbornness. Okay, have we successfully cleared the trapped emotion stubbornness from everybody watching here today and in the future? Okay, is there another trapped emotion we could clear today? Should I clear anxiety? Okay, I'm going to clear the trapped emotion anxiety because that sometimes really contributes to our whole overall energy. So I'm going to clear anxiety from everybody watching here today and everybody in the future. Okay, have I successfully cleared anxiety? Okay. Okay, now I'm just going to release everybody back. Okay. All right, I'm disconnected. So I want to explain when I do group clearing. So when I did the limiting beliefs, it takes about 30 swipes to clear that from everybody. And if you had that limiting belief and it wasn't specifically attached to an exact event in your life, it would have cleared from you. And here, these emotions, they will clear from you. What doesn't clear is emotions that are attached to a specific event in your life. But we have a ton of emotions that are just like locked in. They're absorbed from people. They're inherited. So they're just kind of floating around because really as a group, we haven't learned how to process our emotions. So I want to give you guys one last little tip before we close off for today. And I've just decided I'm going to do these every Wednesday from 3 to about 3:30. Honestly, what I came up with to do today came to me, at like 4 a.m. So when I get up and meditate, I'm like, oh, that's a good one. So it will just be random topics or topics that you guys ask for. So we'll just have a fun little gathering every Wednesday. And so yeah, the thing that I want to talk about is like when you're trying to, when you get your stomach in a knot and you're just like, oh, I wish I could get rid of this. I wish I could get rid of this. The first thing you need to do is breathe out. So, people always say, oh, take a deep breath. Well, you can't take a deep breath when you've got stuff in your lungs and stuff in your belly. So the first and best thing to do is go like empty your lungs. We don't empty our lungs often enough. So empty your lungs out completely and then take a deep breath. But empty them first. That's like the secret to breathing. Get rid of the stale air and then breathe in. And you can do, if you're upset and you're trying to change your energy, you can do what's known as the fire breath, which is really just like pushing on your belly, pushing air out. So it's just like, so you're forcing air out and the air is just naturally coming back in. It's kind of like, feels like you've done crunches on your belly when you do it, if you want to try it. So it's just like fire breath. That's one of my favorite breaths when I'm like nervous about something. I don't know if something's come up and is upsetting me. So that's a good one. Does anybody have any questions? Anything they want to ask? Anything I can answer? Anything you'd like in the future? Okay. Doesn't look like there's anything I always have to give her a time lag because I'm asking these questions because I'm recording this on Zoom and it's going on to Facebook. So I always have to give a minute to let that go. Indecision. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Do you want me to do a whole thing on that next week? That is, that's a really interesting one. Oh, thanks, Brenda. Okay, why don't we, why don't I do something on indecision next week? Clearing, because that is a hard one, I think. I think lots of people, I know I've gone through tons of times in my life with indecision. And so yeah, that's great. I will do that. Okay, I'm glad you guys found that interesting, and I look forward to next Wednesday. And if you know of anybody else you want to invite into this group, go for it. The more the merrier. And you'll notice that I did change the name of it. I decided to change it to Love Your Life instead of Clear Your Blocks, because I wanted a more positive language. Okay, well, I love you guys, and I will see you next week. And yeah, anytime, send me a message, let me know what you want. We'll work on indecision next week. Okay, thanks everybody.